Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. We got myself, Dakota. We got Mr. Timothy joining us again from the London. And we got Mr. Bradshaw coming back again for some basketball talk. How we all doing, gents?
Honestly,
doing well.
On the long pause.
I didn't know if Tim was going to go first or not. We didn't coordinate that.
Listen, I'm a gentleman.
First.
Guests always go first.
Word.
But I'm, you know what? I'm doing well. It's a peak sports moment. You know, baseball just started. The Phillies are terrible, so I went right back to March Madness. But March Madness is kicking off. March Madness might be has increased in my sports rankings because it was that moment when the time difference still was very friendly to me, so I still got to relive the moments that I missed. All the games were going at all three games. It was like, all right, this is like London hasn't affected this one too bad, but it was definitely a fun one. The first round was good. Second round was fun as well. I will say one thing, and now I'm like, because it felt like it was years ago. I'm looking at the first round, so maybe I'm wrong in thinking this year just didn't seem like there was as many upsets as I'm normally used to. I felt like I was kind of disappointed in the upsets.
I felt like whenever I looked at it, it was more like there were a couple 8 and 9s, not like 9s over 8s, and like close seedings where like the upsets and stuff like that. There are only really 2 teams I am extremely disappointed in. So I would low key agree with that statement on the men's side for sure.
It's just I'm just looking at the West region. The only upset they had was Grand Canyon was a 12. The Midwest region, the only upset they had was an 11 with Oregon. I mean, everyone else, it was chalk outside that. You know, the 8-9s obviously don't count. But the East had Yale, which was a good one, to Kane. Now the South was the one that was wild. But maybe part of me maybe is like, I just expect Kentucky to fall on their face pretty much every single year. So maybe that kind of takes it away because like that was the biggest upset. It didn't even shock me. Like it was just like normal business.
Yeah. I mean, I think upset wise, I think there were definitely some being a betting man during March Madness, there were plenty of upsets. But
You're hilarious for that.
Bro, it was crazy because I'd bet money line on games and then that would fail. And I'd be like, all right, I'll do spread instead. And there was 2 games that went into overtime where if the team that I had picked had just won in regulation like they should have, I would have been able to cash that money out. But they failed, went into overtime, and then both teams got outperformed in overtime, and so the spread that they were supposed to cover got fucked. So I was like, how is this possible that like this is happening right now? But that's the beauty of the madness.
That's why those casinos and sports books are rich and you are not. They got
Yeah,
that down to a good science.
I was
Gotta
0
love
for
March.
5. 0 for 5 on March Madness bets so far.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the other thing was none of the teams that actually won. Like I was getting it all in on the Oakland, and then they lost the next shot. Like the Sweet 16, you had a 1-5, a 3-2, a 1-4, a 6-2, 1-4, 11-2, 1-5, 3-2. Like they're all top 4, top 5 seeds minus NC State, who, I mean, they're everyone's favorite team in the country right now.
Oh yeah.
But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I was missing the Cinderella. I mean, now NC State obviously making it Final Four. That's impressive as
They're
11.
an 11 seed. I would probably consider that pretty close to Cinderella.
Yeah, no. I'll give them Cinderella. Yeah, I just think it was like the Sweet 16 was lacking. There really wasn't really anyone outside that. But I don't know. Maybe I was wrong.
It doesn't help that I feel like there were more blowouts this year than in the past. I mean, UConn was beating everybody's ass by 20, and
Yeah,
I just even Alabama, I think, had a couple runaway games.
They are vicious, man.
So
UConn. I'm not talking about Alabama because they ruined my entire year. But
yeah,
UConn is something serious, man. It don't.
that's right. Alabama beat UNC. Ah, ha, ha.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I went with UNC on my bracket too, and that was short lived.
It was such a huge disappointment. Like between quite literally, like we can pull up the receipts. Like I had Kentucky and UNC as my NCAA final. And these fuckers lost by like the round of 32. Like I'm over it. Like it's oh God.
Yeah, my Final Four, I had Arizona against UConn, so I got one right. And then I had Tennessee versus Marquette. And, I should know better. What's the saying? Like, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or shame on you, or whatever, however that
Yeah.
works.
Hmm.
I was like, fool me 8 times with Arizona, and I
You
still was like, I'm gonna put these assholes in the championship again.
No.
And then once again they disappoint. And same with Marquette. Every year, Marquette, I know they're gonna choke. But this year I was like, maybe they're a little different. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. That was wrong.
See, I fell for the Marquette too. Do
Yeah.
you know what actually really hurt my bracket? I mean, I did a Marquette versus UNC in the finals, so I'm not gonna like that lie. That wasn't
mm,
a painful one.
I had
But you
Tennessee,
know what
but
hurt
yeah.
me?
mm.
What hurt me was there was no like Cinderellas or upsets. Like the ones that hurt me the most was like Drake and James Madison. Like those ones hurt me. I had them going on a little bit of runs. I just need them to win a couple games. James Madison obviously had the big, beat Wisconsin, which was nice, but I had them knocking off Duke. Um, I had another school. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. It was a smaller school, but yeah, none of them did anything for me.
But
I got out of the first round, but that was it.
I was riding, and then Tyrell, let's get your thoughts. But I was riding
Yeah.
the St. Mary's hype from day one, and I was like, oh, they're going to get through Grand Canyon, then they're going to be Alabama or whoever, then they're upset UNC and get to the Elite Eight or Final Four, whatever. And I was like, nope, first round exit, see ya. I was like, what the fuck? Like, where the hell's Grand Canyon? Probably by the Grand Canyon, but like, I ain't never
I
heard of
thought it
that
was
college.
honestly, I thought it was an online school. I thought
Not an
Grand Canyon was like
online
DeVry.
school.
Like Grand Canyon, I was shocked that they had a basketball team. I was like, how did they get that like through Zoom? Like,
That
do they
is
practice?
amazing. He said an online school. That's
That is the
amazing.
most anti-online school name. It's like they're fucking classrooms in the desert, like
Quite literally.
on the canyons.
Uh,
You've been out to the Grand Canyon? There's nothing out there. There is nothing. There's nothing near the Grand Canyon. You walk through, there's tumbleweeds and then I don't know, little villages that are in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, then you got
I don't remember seeing any schools.
well, there was Grand Canyon, and then there was Grambling that played Purdue. They had like
mhm.
the Green Bay Packers Georgia Bulldog logo, and I was like, the hell is this team doing here?
Yeah, I
Long
don't
Beach
know.
State.
I didn't really have too many upsets associated with mine. I think I mean I obviously underestimated what NC State was going to go on to do. But for the most
Hmm.
part, I pretty much thought that I like at least the way my bracket shaped out, like I had most of like the middle of the pack teams, like a lot of like 8 and 9 seeds kind of going a little bit further. I didn't think there was gonna be too much dancing. Like I was pretty much disappointed by like St. Peter's. Like I probably had them going a little bit further than what they did just because of like how they looked like the previous year, but then obviously like they lose in the first round. So I don't know. I agree with what Dakota was saying. Like there were definitely a lot more like blowouts, like a lot of I shouldn't say a lot of, but like there a good portion of teams like handled what you would have expected them to do against some of like the lowest
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
UNC was cooking until they hit Alabama.
until they weren't,
Um,
until
so they
they
Yeah.
weren't. Yeah, I mean, Purdue's been, I think, I guess the number one seed. It's not surprising that it's like they're good, but like I definitely thought that they were going to stumble at some point, and they are
yeah,
taking care of business. I mean, I was,
Yeah.
their
yeah,
center
You,
is just
I'll
he's
give him credit. Yeah,
yeah.
I was ripping Purdue going into it. I had them losing
Mhm.
pretty early, and I just because you know what I had them losing last year, and they looked exactly like I thought. I remember that coach coming out and he's like, the more tape we watched on Purdue, the more confident we were going to beat them. But I'll
Mhm.
give Edie a lot of credit because I'm sure he read a lot of the receipts. The guy came out and he's been absolutely dominant. I'll hat tip to him on that one.
Yeah, he's a dog, man. 7'4", almost 300 pounds. Like, dude is, yeah, or not. I don't think he's actually almost 300 pounds. I think I'm thinking of DJ Burns, who's like
DJ
275.
Burns,
the
man, he's
NC State
great.
guy,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
Center.
like
He's
a
like,
refrigerator,
yeah, six
built like a
nine.
the
fridge.
refrigerator.
Zach Randolph type of aesthetic, but
Truly,
yeah, no,
yeah.
he's the center from Purdue. He's doing numbers, and I think that that's going to be an incredible matchup to watch for to see like what they do as far as battling against each other, how they're going to deal with each other. So yeah, we'll see.
It,
So
uh,
I'll
it is an interesting one because I mean, Edie's obviously got the size overall, but he's not going to move Burns. Burns is not movable. He's not going to
Mm.
box him out. And Burns, man, he's so nifty. I love the guy because he's huge and he's thick. But this guy's like, he drops steps, he Euro steps. He's like got a quick little, up and underneath. Like, he's got some moves to him.
He was light on his feet for sure.
It's nice, man. I would
Yeah.
put him at D tackle. Let him just like, take Aaron Donald's shoes. This is light, quick feet.
Mm. Well, I was gonna ask, so looking at your um like the division, like I guess you call them divisions, like the regions,
Mm.
which of the four do you have the most success predicting? Like for me, of course, ESPN isn't going to show me what division, what region this is, but oh, the East region. I actually did pretty well. Like I had UConn going well. I had Illinois was Iowa State in the Sweet 16, and UConn beating Illinois, my Elite Eight. I had Duquesne was the one I think I got wrong. No, they won. No, wait. Yeah, I picked BYU. They lost to Duquesne. I had Drake winning. They lost to Washington State. But beyond that, I got the rest of them right. So
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really rock star in any region, to be honest with you. I guess
oh,
I'll
I mean
go
my
with
bracket
the
overall
East
is
as well.
ass, but
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no,
the
the bracket's completely dead at this point. But for me, it was the West. Like I
mm,
guess all one. So I did pretty good getting some teams out of the West going. But then after that, it started to falter. Like if y'all, bro, the workout challenge, vicious, vicious.
I'm I had to take a break from the push-ups last week because I was still sore.
This point, it's good. The tournament never ends. Get on the ground. Let's see them.
Get on the
Bro,
ground.
bro, literally at this point, I kid you not, if I pull it up, so the men's
You're doing the
bracket
miles
says
too.
yeah, for the men's bracket, like I said, I was doing 1 mile for every incorrect guess. It's completely busted at this point, thank God.
Yeah, you must hate
So I'm
yourself.
done. I'm done running. But I think I've run 9 miles so far.
Mm.
But I have 21 more to go though, because
God damn.
my bracket
You're
literally
running
has
out of time.
bro, a marathon and a half is literally what I'm
Yeah.
doing for March, which is ridiculous.
Yikes.
Well, a marathon and then some. Women's bracket is a little bit better. Depending on how the final four shakes out, I could be anywhere between 320 push-ups and like 360, which is
Mm.
Sheesh.
yeah.
You
It's
just,
honestly better than my men's bracket last year. I did like damn near like 500 some push-ups last year. So
Well, I know I just like, glaze over the fact that I did well in the East, but my bracket as a whole is probably top five, one of my worst brackets I've ever made. Like I on ESPN I have 600 points, which puts me at 11 million in the world. Um,
that's all.
which is I got it 55% correct. So
Oh, whoa,
yeah,
you did
that's pretty.
way better than me.
what'd
Holy
you
shit,
do?
bro. I am at 16 mil,
Oh
13,
shit.
39%.
Ah, that's your
Yo,
shoulders
I
up.
did so much worse. I
I
was
thought
like,
I was
you
like,
guys learned me out, but yeah, yo, oh my God, I did so much
dang.
worse. So much worse.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't join ESPN. I couldn't get on it in the UK. We did Yahoo. Yahoo surprisingly is UK friendly, but
Oh,
I mean, I don't remember where my rank is. I can guarantee it wasn't very good. It
Shout
was
out to
I thought
probably
you were
Yahoo for being
more old
international.
school, writing it down on a napkin with a crayon in a restaurant.
no. I mean, I did have the bracket. I printed out. That's the way to do it. I mean, you have to get a paper
Old school.
bracket at least some
Yeah.
point. Like that's the whole nostalgia.
Do you remember
I
doing it in high
mean,
school? They would just hand them out and you would just fill them all out, and then some smuggler was collecting all the money.
that's what I actually, funny enough, at my work, that's what I'm doing. I literally have
Oh,
collected
he's a
like
smuggler.
60 brackets, but it's been great because it's like I'm trying to get British people to do it who know nothing about college basketball, and yeah, some of them are a little interesting. I've seen Colgate and Stenson and Grand Canyon in the Final Four, but at the same time, I've seen a
That
couple
damn online
brackets that are
school.
the I've seen a couple brackets that are actually better than mine. It does make me like, huh, that's that one hurts. That's like
Oh, yeah.
let me have a sit down moment on that one. But yeah, no, they're all paper. They're all graded by hand by myself. So I put in the extra hours.
Wow.
Damn.
thankfully some of them are pretty awful, so they're like pretty much completely eliminated by the Sweet 16. All their teams are wrong.
There you go.
So we're doing push-ups and running, and you're doing finger exercises by writing down
Right
wins and
there.
Pretty
losses.
much, yeah, pretty much. Listen, I got a prize, but I'm a man of integrity. I'm running this thing. I'm
Okay.
nowhere near the top, so But we got to go on. One guy actually, I got to give him credit. One British guy, he had 15 of the 16 Sweet 16
Wow.
correct. He
Wow.
only got 5 wrong in the whole entire first round. Now here's the problem. I took an email from everyone because they win a prize, it's a gift card or whatever. And this guy has the worst handwriting I've ever seen in my entire life. I've tried 10 different iterations of what I think his email is, and every single one of them has come back undeliverable. So he's still currently in first place. He's probably going to win, and I can't get in contact with him. And I'm
Nice.
like, this guy, he probably could have won millions if he just entered in like ESPN or something, because it really was one of the best brackets I'd seen.
Damn.
That's magic.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
it's pretty impressive. I got to give him hats off to him, respect to it, because it was really cooking.
Do you have TVs at your bar? Did you do anything special for the like? Did you guys have
Oh
like the
yeah,
games
man. We
on,
was just
or
like, yeah, man. Like I said, this was like one of my
I don't
favorite
know what
moments
goes
because
on in
hey,
London?
look, listen. You think I'm going to miss up a chance on March Madness? I started the whole thing. I was saying how delightful it was. I was moving and grooving, putting on the TVs. I got to say, peak March Madness moment. Yale winning at the end while Florida, or I'm sorry, no, who was it? Colorado won on a buzzer beater while both games were going on at the same exact time. They were
Hmm.
both like 10 seconds left at the same time. Colorado hits the dagger three, and Yale pulls off the last second win. Like, just ecstasy. I was like, this is it. This is what it's all about.
This is what I live for.
This is
This
March.
is March Madness.
This is
I'm just
March.
Yeah.
going to film this and just advertise. I could be the marketing team for March Madness. This is what I'm going to show.
Yeah. I forget what night. There was one of the early nights I remember it was like there was a couple teams falling and you were like, what the hell is going on? It might have been during when what you were just talking about, but yeah, it was hype. Even I mean, normally when we get down to like the final four, Elite Eight, it's still fun, but it's not as like crazy exciting because there's not as many games going on. But like the women's games last night were really good. I mean, you
Yo,
had Caitlyn Clark just like
yo,
Steph Curry out here. I was
yo.
watching like highlights again after the fact, and I was like, she's not even near the 3-point line. She's like at the fucking logo,
Let
like
me,
nothing but net. And I'm like, this
bro,
is crazy.
let me cook real quick.
Go ahead.
Women's college basketball is electric, fam. Like if you are not on it, please like get on it by the end of this year and then preceding the years following.
They got the stars.
It is amazing, bro. Because listen, Caitlin Clark, 9 threes, drops 41 last night, gets her get back against LSU after losing last year in the championship game. We get the rematch in the Elite Eight. Everybody's going off, like incredible basketball. Caitlin Clark, first of all, just to put it in perspective, the 3-point line is 22 feet from the basket. On average, she pulls up from 26 feet away. She had 3 threes back to back in which she shot from 26, 28, and then 30 feet from the basket. She's sinking all of these. You cannot guard her. What she did to Haley Van Lith should be illegal. And Kim Mulkey is terrible for not making any like in-game adjustments to put Flage or any other guard on her to like at least somewhat stem the bleeding. But last night's women's matchups, that game and then USC versus UConn, I watched both from start to finish. Bro, incredible, incredible basketball, man. Juju is a true freshman, like 18-year-old,
Yeah, she's a beast.
900 points her freshman year, nearly had 1,000 points in her freshman season. Like Paige, after being injured and going through her terrible like torn ACL injuries, comes back and now is playing phenomenal basketball, double for her last night. Like bro, it is an incredible time for women's basketball. You need to tune in. If you haven't been, please just do yourself a favor. The games are immaculate.
Right.
I'm
Listen,
glad they're getting more coverage too.
that's a
Mhm.
sizzling sales plan. I'll cue it up. I haven't watched many. I haven't watched many of the games, but I've kept my eye because it's South Carolina, NC State,
Mhm.
Iowa, and UConn. But South
Yep.
Carolina is undefeated, aren't they? Like,
South Carolina is for the second year straight has been undefeated.
so
Uh,
here's what. Yeah, because
Dawn
here's the thing I
Staley.
didn't realize. Like,
mhm.
I didn't even know they were undefeated until like 2 days ago. I'm like, why am I hearing about every single team in this tournament? Like I've heard about everything you said. Like I've obviously Caitlyn Clark, LSU. I've heard, USC even. I know Paige from UConn. UConn's always a juggernaut. I was
Hmm.
like, but why is no one talking about this South Carolina team that doesn't lose?
It's ridiculous. And what's even better is that starting five is completely different from last year's starting five. They still went undefeated. Like it makes no sense. It's so like I'll use your word euphoric. It is euphoric watching them play because like the things that these women are doing, like the notoriety that they're finally getting, which has been incredible. UConn, think about it this way: UConn has been to 15 out of 16, like in the last 16 years, has been to 15 Final Fours. The only reason why they missed was because Paige had been injured these last 2 years with the ACL injury. Like
Mm.
the stuff is in it's immaculate, bro. And then you got
So who
NC
wins it
State and
all?
UConn, both men's and women, both playing in the Final
Mm.
Four. It's like this is what you want out of March.
Who wins it
I
all in the
had
women's bracket? Because I'm not an expert. And you're selling me on it. So now I'm like on the edge of
Bro,
my seat.
bro, I got parlay on Caitlyn Clark. I'm with it, man. I'm trying to cash out on DraftKings right now. Caitlyn Clark doing what most people. They're a number one seed, but people are still counting them out because no one. I shouldn't say no one respects anybody else but Caitlyn Clark, but like in a way, it's like your game plan is we'll deal with Caitlyn going off because she's just gonna do her thing, shut down the other two
Yeah,
teams. And it's bad because I don't know their names, but I think her shooting guard and another one of her players, maybe like the small forward, the 3-4 position in the regular season versus top 25 teams, so top 25 ranked teams, were averaging 4 and 8 points a game. And since the tournament has started, they are both averaging upwards of 16 to 14 per game. And Kim, I forget her last name, but the other guard literally had 21 last night
mm,
against LSU. If they're going to do that, they're going to win the national championship. Like it's
yeah.
ridiculous. But
oh, they're gonna have to.
South Carolina has an incredible roster. You got Camila, who just declared she's going to the WNBA. Obviously, you got UConn and their squad, but their squad is so hurt, which is why I'm like leaning towards Iowa. But then it doesn't matter because it's like, bro, Paige is not coming out of the game. Aaliyah's not coming out of the game. Like they're going to play 40 minutes. Same thing with Caitlin Clark. So it really is just going to depend on how that matchup goes down. But I'm thoroughly excited to see Paige go, especially because they play the same position as guards. So I know they're going to guard each other. So I think that
Mm.
that's going to be like, yo, Friday, you know where I'm going to be. Don't even ask. I'm in front of a
Don't
TV.
even ask.
Don't even
Even
Hey,
ask.
it's
ask.
got you know what women's basketball or college basketball reminds me more of the NBA than men's college basketball does.
Bro,
Like there's I couldn't name I think more than maybe 4 or 5 college basketball men's players, and that is a stretch. And
it is.
I
Yeah.
could name like these names you're mentioning. I know them like not even following it that much. Like I know more like women's NBA like basketball players than I do men's, and I follow men's much more.
It is a
Yeah.
great time for women's basketball. I love it. Especially because like I used to coach women's basketball as well on the varsity level in high school. So to see it where it's at now in the game, the notoriety, the popularity, like people showing up for the games legitimately and like watching the games, no disrespect going on. It's a great time, man. It's
I
great.
think it's nice because it's not even like because I feel like modern times nowadays it's like a lot of people complain because they think it's like, oh, stop shoving this down our throats, like we don't care, blah blah blah. But it's like, no, people do care. You have like people like Travis Scott tweeting out like we have a fantastic matchup tonight, and he was talking about the women's games. I was like,
Yeah,
that's
man.
huge. Like
Yeah,
there are
bro.
people who follow him who are going to tune in now because they're like, oh, Travis Scott watches women's basketball. I'm going to start watching too. Like stuff like that is awesome to see. But um, yeah, I was just looking at my bracket. My women's bracket is actually not terrible.
It's good, right?
Um,
It's good, right? Yeah.
I mean, I'm still in the millions, but I'm 1.3 million my ranking. But I have 870
How are
points, and
you beating me? I'm
and
1.6,
I'm 63% complete. Correct.
55.
Wow. So
Damn,
you're better
yo,
in the women's
Dakota
bracket
no
than men's
ball.
bracket.
Dakota
Wow,
knows
look at
ball.
you.
Come on.
but
Talk your talk, my boy. That's what's up.
we'll see. We'll see. I only have two of my Final Four teams I had because originally I had South Carolina over Stanford, and
Mm,
then I had Iowa over Virginia Tech, but obviously Virginia Tech lost a couple of rounds ago. That was a homer pick, just because I like VT. But I still have South Carolina over Iowa. And no disrespect to the South Carolina players or Iowa's players not named Caitlyn Clark, but this feels like some kind of like superhero, like Caitlyn Clark coming up against this juggernaut South Carolina team. Like, can she take them down?
Because they're
And
deep.
I think they're just going to overpower them enough, and I think Dawn Staley gets it done. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm not going to go on a limb. I'm just going to predict the team that's not lost in 2 years is going to win.
Fair.
Then,
But man, when Caitlyn Clark start pulling that thing from across half, ooh.
Yeah, she's a sniper. But
Bro.
Transitioning real quick to kind of close out back to the men's side. So reevaluating our brackets, clean slate. Who is in the championship and who is winning the championship?
We're talking men's?
Yeah.
UConn.
Yeah.
I mean, I to start it, like I was like, I looked into it, and I believe there hasn't been a repeat champion in back-to-back years. We've had a couple like come back in 2 or 3 years, but there hasn't been a repeat, I think, in like 19 years. Yeah. I forget who was the last
Florida.
one to do it. Was it
Florida did it? And with Joakim Noah and Corey Brewer, I think, was on the team.
Those are some names.
Throwback names.
I know.
Those are some names.
Like if you look, I can't remember anyone else on that. If you look at their starting five of that team, you're like, oh, I recognize all those names. Very fringe NBA players, but they were like a solid squad. Mm-hmm. But I'm almost positive. I think they are the last back-to-back. But yeah, I mean, I remember starting this bracket, and like UConn is by far the best team. Like they were awesome last year. And I'm thinking like everyone's going to pick them, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall for that trap. And now I'm looking back at it, and I picked North Carolina, and they were the trap. But I mean, South Carolina hasn't lost in 2 years. UConn might as well have not lost in 2 years either. They're just, it's not like they have no weaknesses. They're just excellent. They're the best at everything. There is no weakness because they're the best at everything.
Bro, I got the roster here for you for 06 Florida Gators. You know who the head coach was?
Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan, yeah.
Yeah,
they had
Mr. Florida. I don't even know what he was doing in the pros. He's a UF guy.
They have Sixers legend Maurice Spates on this team.
No,
wow. There you go. You're right. I forgot about that.
Al Horford was a Florida Gator.
Oh, yeah. That was obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. Corey Brewer, Lee Humphrey, John Hamilton. These names aren't ringing any bells. Brandon Powell. Chris Richard. Mm-hmm. Garrett Tyler, Dan Werner, Teron Green.
Is this like the entire roster or like the people that saw time on the court?
I was going to say, where the noteworthy people
at? Yeah, what do you the water boys here?
All the supervisors.
That was it. Corey Brewer, Al Horford, Mo Spates, and Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah.
Pretty much
that's
it.
All you need,
that's a big team. There's some size.
Noah's 6'11", Horford's 6'10", Spates is 6'10". Damn, they are huge. What the fuck?
Literally.
And all their backups are like 6'9".
That's ridiculous, bro.
Jesus Christ.
He's big, man.
Nah, bro. For me, no lie. UConn versus Illinois. Illinois didn't score for almost a damn hour. Real time.
That was ridiculous.
UConn goes on a 30-0 run to close them out, bro. Nah.
I wasn't watching.
Huskies, man.
I wasn't watching. And Nick, who's been on the show tons of times, he went to UConn, so he's obviously a big UConn fan. And I wasn't paying attention, and he was like, damn. He's like, well, I saw halftime. It was like 23-20. It might have been tied, like 23 something.
It was pretty close in the beginning.
Yeah, and he texted us, and he's like, so UConn just went on a 30-point run. I was like, how? How was that possible? And I turned it on, and they were just showing you like the replays, like catching people up, and like they were missing everything. Like it's almost like they like stopped caring at some point because they just like there was like no energy in their shots, and they were just like, I mean, UConn's defense is crazy stout, but like
yeah, that's
like,
true.
Illinois, they're a 3 seed.
30-0 is crazy.
That's a 3 seed. It's not like, oh, they did this against like the 16th seed, like in the first round of 64. No, this is a 3 seed. They were dog walking them.
UConn out here being their daddy. It was insane.
Yeah, I don't see them stopping. Like
they're
so good.
I'm convinced.
Yeah, on my point of there hasn't been a repeat team since Florida. I didn't think UConn was going to be able to do it, but they are just destroying the game. So
they're viciously close.
I don't see that train getting stopped. So I think Purdue makes it in. For all the shit we gave them, I think they take care of NC State. I think their Cinderella's done. And I don't think Alabama's going to give UConn. I don't know if I'd take the 20-point spread that they've been killing every team by.
Yeah.
But I think UConn handles Alabama and then Purdue. And then obviously I'll take UConn over Purdue. And it should be a good matchup.
I think Purdue's got the best chance because they've got Edey. This is at this point you need something special to beat this team, and Edey is at least special. I'll give him credit because I've like been his biggest hater since he's been in college basketball, but I'll give him credit. Like he's literally the only hope that anyone has to beat UConn. I don't see anyone else even slowing him down.
Honestly, at this point with the stats he's putting up, he should be a lottery pick. Real shit. He should be a lottery pick this year in the draft.
Someone will give him a fly. I mean, this draft isn't very. There's no real big names coming out. Someone will give him a chance.
You don't have like a bona fide superstar who you know is like, oh, like this is like that dude who's going to come out this year. So even if he's just a backup big to get you 15 minutes and maybe like 12 points, 10, 6 boards or whatever a night. I think he could do that in the pros. Yeah, for sure.
All right. For sure. Any final thoughts before we kind of wrap this up?
Go Iowa. Caitlyn Clark.
Yeah, I'm all on the Caitlyn Clark hype. I looked in. It's gonna be a late night. The thing that sucks is these late. The first rounds are great. The late rounds just start really getting late. But I'm tempted. That midnight game, Caitlyn Clark, midnight on Friday night. Let's get my eye on it.
I mean, I do like that they're now at nighttime because. I mean, it's hard to watch these games when you're at work at 12 o'clock, What was the one game? One of the first round games that went to overtime. I was listening to it or watching, I had it like on the side. My manager was like, oh, can you like just come to my office real quick? We need to just talk about some promotion we were doing. And I was like, oh, really? Right now? There was like 2 minutes left. And the one team had a lead and I came back. They were down 7 points in overtime. I was like, what the fuck? Like, crazy. I was so mad, but
you over here acting like you were actually doing work for the last 2 weeks.
I do work. I clock in, I clock out. Bam.
Go to collecting a check just to watch basketball. That's what's up.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a job where you at.
No one's doing anything. Watch man, everyone's taking some time off.
Great time for the fans. Great time for bars and restaurants. It's really, I'm sure. I mean, do you get really busy, Tim? With do people?
Yeah, we were actually. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's all about time difference. Live sports, you don't get much of it, so that's why it made it extra special. I had all 3 games going like for a couple hours. Like it was like nothing missed a beat. The work day was over for us, so we weren't like you. I wasn't just collecting a check for watching basketball.
Oh, it can happen once in a while. We'll be all right.
Yo, whenever y'all have an opening, send me the app. I'm trying to be where you at.
Trust me, it ain't like that. I was rolling in emails today, but all right, gents. Go our prospective teams we're rooting for here. Do keep in mind, Tyrell, Dawn Staley from Philly, but you're not really
no disrespect to Coach Stanley. Coach Stanley is dope. I'm a ride with history on this one and my parlay. That's it.
There it is. There it is. Where's the parlay? Where's the money?
You know it.
Money talks.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
All right. Well, I'm not going to give any bet advice out because I have been very unsuccessful. So everybody, you're better throwing mud on the wall and seeing what sticks. But
anyway, good advice. You'll end up with no money and a dirty wall. Well done, Dakota. Good advice we can end on.
Yeah. All right. Till then.
Peace.
Later. Out.